Welcome to the show, Scott. I'm so excited to have you on.
I'm excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
I would love if you could give a little bio of who you are and where in the world you are currently joining me from today.
Yeah, we're in Salt Lake City, Utah, um, and we uh, we got started with our fitness. Our background. I've been an athlete my whole life, so I started lifting 2007, somewhere around there. Freshman year of high school, had a really good high school lifting coach who I'm still in contact with. Still working at my high school. Um, but I've started at 14 and now I'm 30, so 16-ish years, um, and just haven't stopped. And uh, I've fallen into the love of just keeping progressing. That's kind of what keeps me motivated because there's always a heavier weight. Um, I probably am not the same as most people's fitness journeys. I'm a little bit different in that uh, I'm very motivated by being better.
When you said you were an athlete, were you like, was it strictly in weightlifting or what sort of athlete were you growing up?
Yeah, so I played multiple sports. So I played football, baseball. I dabbled in volleyball my freshman year of high school, and then I ran track. Um, Funny story with track. I got into track because of a detention, and I was working at the track meet and started to realize that I am faster or as fast as some of the people that were running. And I went up to the track coach and was like, "Hey, like, I know it's like middle of the season, but can I join?" And I hate running, absolutely hate running, um, but I hate losing more than I hate running. So I decided to join, and my first race was the 400 meter, and it absolutely sucked. Um, but then I realized that there's shorter distances under 400, and so uh, I ran the one and the two in high school, and then moved into college. Ran the one, two, occasionally the four, 4x1, and 4x4. Um, so yeah, that was my athletic background. But I mean, I've played t-ball from the time that I could sort of swing a bat. So I mean, 4, 5, 6, whatever age you start um, playing playing sports as a little one, and yeah.
Amazing. Why, like, what led you into weightlifting? Was it part of being, if you're going to be an athlete, this is like you have to do weightlifting? Like, I also imagine, like, when people are doing weightlifting, it's like they want to be muscular, they want to look like The Rock and all of this stuff.
Yeah,
Like, why did
yeah,
you get into it?
yeah. So getting me into lifting, my coach. So it was a part of our sport. It was just 100% performance based, which is why I still chase that performance. I don't really care about the aesthetics. I mean, okay, I'd be lying if I'd said I didn't care about the aesthetics, but if you chase performance, aesthetics follows. And typically, when you feel good, you look good. And so um, I've not necessarily projected that on the clients, but I help them understand that it's not about always about the appearance. It's about how do we feel, how do we look, how are we sleeping, how's our stress. That's more important than what the scale is telling us, or at least in my book. I know other trainers are different, which is totally okay. But how I coach is off of performance. If our numbers are going up performance wise, we're in a good place. I have a client that literally haven't changed a single thing in her diet, haven't changed really anything outside the gym other than that she's training with me. Um, she's active, relatively active. She plays basketball with her family. She plays in a rec league. Like, so she gets cardio in there. Um, but literally, she's I've 100% focused on let's just get strong. Let's just get strong, 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 and everything will follow. And she's followed it literally to a T. She literally only trains with me. She trains twice a week. She's been training with me, I think now since February, and she's lost almost 30 pounds since February. And that's a sustainable loss. That's not like a loss that like a lot of people lose 30, gain 30, lose 30, gain 30. And it's just like they're in the gym, out of the gym, in the gym, out of the gym. And how I set her up, and I asked almost everybody that signs up with me, I'm like, hey, why did you choose me? And she's like, you're the first trainer that said I didn't have to run. And I was like, I'm not a big runner, even though yes, my background's in running and I have a big passion for it, but I don't do it very often. And people will say, hey, like, what's the best cardio? And I'm like, the one that you're gonna do. So if you enjoy swimming, go swim. If you enjoy biking, bike. Like it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're active. And I explained that to her, and she's like, done. I can do that. She's
Yeah.
like, is basketball count? And I was like, 100%, go.
I love it. I know I'm not a runner by any means, unless I'm running for tacos or something like that. Uh,
100%.
I've always been like I like walking and stuff, and I understand the aspect of cardio, and I'm the same way too. Like when
Yeah.
people are like, just gets cardio up on some level, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be running or jogging or anything. Like, I mean, that's where I feel like right now. I'm sure that'll change, but that's my
Yeah.
philosophy too. Just do something to get some cardio in.
Yeah. And like an easy way, like say they have an hour to work out. Like I don't have uh 30 minutes after my workout because now that puts me at 90 minutes. And I'm like, okay, just instead of having a minute rest in between sets, 30 seconds. I mean, and like I tell them when I'm like, hey, just drop it by 30 seconds, your heart rate's going to go through the roof and pay attention, uh, but utilize that and you're going to reduce the amount of time they're here. I'm not saying to do that every single time. But there's a time and place for like, there's times that I have 30 minutes in between a session and I'm like, I don't have time, or I shouldn't say I don't have time. I didn't make time, or plan to work out other places. And I'm like, I have 30 minutes right here. I'm going to go full send and go till the wheels fall off for the next 30 minutes. And then I have my next client and I squeeze it in when I can.
I love it. One of the things that you had mentioned was the you're not looking at the vanity side of things, right? And I
Right.
think there is that level, like you said, everybody wants to look good and feel good in their bodies, but there's this reciprocal effect of different health benefits that happen from strength training and or weight training, however, I guess you kind of want to word it.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you name some of those benefits that might be unexpected when someone starts weight training or strength training?
So I mean, one of the biggest ones is like muscle hypertrophy. I get clients that are like, my arms feel like huge, or hey, like my legs are leaning out, but I've been lifting like heavy. And I'm like, just because you lift heavy doesn't mean you're going to get big. I mean, look at me. I've been training since I was 14 years old, and I'm not The Rock, or I'm not any of these big power lifters, or I'm not huge, and I'm not training to be huge. Of course, I like to always put on more mass. I mean, my race weight when I was in college was 136 pounds. I was a little dude, and I'm still a little dude, but I weigh now close to 160. I might have lost a little bit of weight. I'm on Whole30 right now, uh, which I'm not a big diet person. I like to look at it more as like edit what you're eating. I mean, so you have the same letters, but you flip the letters around. You got editing, because there's so many negative connotations to diets, and I'm like, it's a guideline. I'm doing this more because it's hard for me to do, and I like to sometimes do hard stuff. And it's hard because I just eat. I train and I eat. I train, I eat, and I eat what I can so that my training sessions go well. So I look at food very differently than a lot of people, and it's food is fuel. I know I'm going a little off topic. Uh, so you can rein me in at any time. But I look at it as fuel. And um, if I'm not eating that, I it gets in my head that I'm not going to perform well. And last week was my birthday, and I wanted to deadlift on my birthday. Um, and being on Whole30, I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to, because I wanted to go heavy, and I was still able to pull 405, which I was somewhat surprised about, given that like I've been eating as much as I can, but it's hard to not like with the Whole30. I'm not eating grains, and I eat a lot of rice. I eat a lot of like oatmeal, a lot of dairy. So I mean, cutting those things out, I'm like meat, fruit, vegetables. At the end of the day, like coconut water has been saving my freaking life. Like I've been drinking that. I went to Costco and got like a big pallet of it, and like I think I have two more.
Yeah, that's
Um,
side note. I love doing drinking coconut water when I'm doing
oh,
weightlifting. It makes a difference.
holy, like it. I was never a big fan until I couldn't have anything except for water,
Hmm.
and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Um, but no, so other benefits that you get from weightlifting, I mean, your body tightens up. Um, you're burning more calories. At the end of the day, you sustain burning calories longer throughout the day. I mean, the more muscle mass you have, the hungrier those muscles are, the more they're going to want to eat. So you can eat what you want, not eating like an asshole, but you can pretty much eat what you want when you're lifting heavy to the extent. And this is why I love training athletes, because we're training for performance. And I'm like, dude, go eat, go eat, go eat, go tell mom to make you whatever. I want you to have a bunch of chicken, a bunch of steak, a bunch of rice, like eat veggies, like eat all day, every day. And I didn't realize this until college. I was on the meal plan at college, so I was at the mercy of whatever the cafeteria cooked, which for the most part they cooked pretty decent. But I mean, it's a college campus, and I don't do well if I have pasta for lunch when I had to go train in the afternoon. And there was a lot of days that it was pasta or chicken parm that had pasta. I did really well with like when they did like salads with chicken, salad with whatever protein. I did really well in practice, and I didn't draw that correlation until I was in practice, and I was like, God damn it, I just feel sluggish. And I was like, literally last week we did the exact same workout and felt great, like easy. There's money in the bank. And this week I just felt like garbage. Like nothing had changed. Didn't have any more exams than I had the week before. And I was like, the only thing that changed was I had pasta for lunch. And then I was like, okay, let's start. And so I started keeping track. I literally wrote right in my notes on my iPhone. I used to write out all the workouts. Coach would have us do our workout. I would write it down afterwards. And I just put a happy face or a sad face next to the workout. Um, and not in like, oh, like I'm so sad. Like it just good, bad. Um, and I started realizing I was like, okay, I had pasta for lunch, pasta for lunch, pasta for lunch. And then I started correlating, okay, sad face, sad face, sad face, sad face. So then I was like, okay, it's the pasta. So then when they would serve pasta, I would just ask for the protein, and then I would get a side salad and vegetables or whatever. And then I was like, okay, so this does make sense. Like the better I eat, the better I perform. And then I drew that. So that was at 21. So I've been eating for performance for the most part for 9 years.
So
And it just, yeah.
I was gonna say, what is it? the idea that it's pasta before you do a workout, or is it pasta like in general? Like I would never suggest if someone's working out to do that.
No, not at all. Because I absolutely love pasta.
Okay.
I'm a big pasta guy. No, like, for me personally, lunchtime I need like high protein, maybe a small carb. But typically, like, I can have sandwich meat before I train, good to go. I can have a protein shake before I train, good to go. But if I have pasta, I'm a little bit more kind of just sluggish. But no, I would pound like after a workout all day for me.
Okay.
And I know everybody responds differently to different foods, different stimulus. But for me, what's worked is I don't do I don't do pasta for me before I work out. Um, but yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah, and I will say too, like just talking about benefits of strength training, one thing that I actually noticed, and I thought it would kind of go the opposite way because I was really into yoga and Pilates for a long time, and
yeah,
then I felt like I kind of hit this wall of like, okay, I feel like I'm not really going anywhere. And I was just
yeah,
randomly like, I should start lifting weights. I don't even know what
yeah.
made me say that. And I thought, oh, if I start lifting weights, it's going to make me bulky. It's going to make me put on muscle. But I will say, even though I have absolutely put on muscle, my yoga practice has,
Through the roof.
it's gone through better. I almost feel like I'm more stable in my yoga
Yeah,
practice because
yeah,
of weightlifting, which I was like, that would have been the last thing that I would have assumed.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I coach off of these 3 points that I got from. I don't know if you know who he is. He's actually from Canada as well. Dr. Jordan Shallow.
No, I don't know who
Um,
that is.
so he's a chiropractor by trade, but a strength and conditioning coach. He has a
Awesome.
company called Prescript. They put out some really good stuff. And I'm hoping that I can get into one. They have a few different courses that they do, and but I coach, and I've learned this from through him off of 3 things, and I think I posted it recently on my Instagram. But training off of stability, mobility, and strength. You can't have one without the other. So I mean, if you don't have stability, you don't have strength. If you don't have mobility, you don't have strength and stability. Um, and as you train, the more stable you are, the more weight you can put on. Because like typically when you unrack a heavy weight, yes, it's heavy, but you feel like you unrack a barbell, and when you have a heavy weight on your back, your center of mass or your base of support, whatever you want to call it, changes. It's no longer through the trunk of your body. Now you have weight pulling you back, and your body has to readjust and stabilize. So I mean, coaching from those 3 pillars for me is like, how do we get you stable, mobile, and strong? And I look at those three. Like if someone was to create a program all on their own, and they focus on stability, mobility, and strength, you're going to be headed. It may not necessarily be the best plan, but it is a plan, and it will get you from one spot to another. If you have something in those lines, same thing as like when someone has 2 days a week to train. It's like, hey, we're going to do full body. We're going to pick one exercise from each body part. Call it a day. You don't need to be here for like. I'll have clients that are like, oh, like I used to do like a hour and a half, 2 hour full body day, and I was absolutely dead. And I'm like, one exercise, one shoulder exercise, one hinge exercise, one squat pattern, and maybe a curl in there, in a row, and we'll call it a day. Like it doesn't. We overcomplicate this shit,
Ugh.
and I and I say we as in you, myself, any trainer. Like we all have a way of doing something, and it kind of clouds the information per se. And I try to tell people, I'm like, hey, simple. Like when I am training clients, we do excluding like our warm-up exercises, 4 exercises, maybe. And like all of clients are like, I can do this at home. And I'm like, I know. I want you to do this at home.
Ah,
And I
yeah.
want you to do it when you come in and see me. And the more we do it, the better we get because we're practicing a movement rather than training a movement. And if we keep looking at it as, hey, I'm coming to practice rather than I'm coming to a session with Scott, it's like, I want you to say to yourself, I'm practicing, I'm practicing, I'm practicing. Because as that kind of shifts that mindset of like, oh, I have to go work out. It's like, no, I get to go work out. I'm able bodied enough to go work out. There's a lot of people that don't have the ability to come in and work out, can't afford to come in, don't physically have the ability to work out. And going at it like that, I started to lose my train of thought.
That's okay.
But yeah, I mean, coaching people through that. Where was I going? Shoot.
About people wanting to like they're able bodied. Like, yeah, I believe
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
total mindset too. Like you don't have to go work out, you get to go work out. And some
yeah,
days are gonna be
yeah,
harder than others, but
yeah,
you get to do it. It's
yeah. And
I
some
can't
days suck.
they do suck, but I honestly even can't think of a day where like if I haven't been feeling it, I'm like, ugh,
Yeah,
it's one of those
I'm
days.
not going. It's
I
cold.
it's cold, it's whatever is going on, but I do it. I have never been like, ugh, that
Why did I
was
do
just
that?
the worst. It like sometimes I'm
Yeah.
not like vibing super high, but I'm always glad at least I did it. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it
Oh,
wasn't a
100%.
great workout, but I did it and I showed up for myself, and that's what
Yeah,
matters.
100%. And like being able to change that mindset because there's, I mean, signing up for a gym membership is scary. Approaching a trainer, scary. Um, someone that, and like trainers are the last people I feel like to be scared of, or coaches. Because I mean, I work at Lifetime, and we have close to 20 trainers here, and anytime someone approaches us, hey, like, hey, I need help with whatever adjusting the seat on this machine. We have like 5 trainers that are like, who needs help? And like they're nervous just to come ask us how to change a seat. And I'm like, my whole goal is like, how can I break that down so that people know that I'm here to help? Um, and it's literally sometimes it's literally saying, hey, what are you working on today? Cool. Let me know if you have questions. How's your day, Megan? How's your day? Like, what are you working on? Like, I do that with everybody that I know and like new members. I'm like, I'll text them and say, hey, welcome to Lifetime. If you ever have any questions, I'm the one with long curly blonde hair. Come ask me, or
Yeah.
just come over and say hi. I
Yeah.
want to welcome you to the gym. I don't offer anything. I don't sell anything. I'm just like, people know what I do, so they either come to train with me or they don't. And like that's how I don't push people to train with me. If you don't want to train with me, you don't train with me. Like I'm very cut dry, and that probably has burned me as well. But at the end of the day, it's like I want people that want to put work in, and I'm not gonna hold people's hands. I will 100% fight for you all day, every day. Um, but like I won't hold your hand through the workout and be like, oh, okay, that. And I'm not going to text you every single day. Hey, you didn't get your workout in. Hey, I didn't see you checked into the club. I didn't see whatever. And it's like we both know that you haven't. Why do I need to like? Let's move on.
Yeah.
And like I'll have clients that apologize, and I'm like, you have no reason to apologize. You didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You're not cheating on anybody. You're not like you're just reset, go.
Yeah.
Reset, go. How many days can we string together?
Yeah.
7? Okay. Let's see next time if we can get 8. And then let's take a break and let's see if we can get 2 in a row. And then let's reset and let's do 4 in a row. And then just keep building. Like, I don't work out every single day. I don't live in the gym. I work at the gym. I don't associate myself with the gym. Like when gyms closed down, I wasn't like, oh God, the world's ending. I was like, cool, this is a new opportunity for me to focus on other things. So I got more certifications. I focused a lot on strength, mobility training, stabilization, and a lot of correctional exercise, which forced me to slow myself down because when I train, I go, 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 go. And like I hadn't probably taken a break in damn near 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is probably a good opportunity. At first, I was like, this is stupid. And then I was like, this is a good opportunity for me to focus on other stuff other than just moving weight. It's
Yeah.
like, how can I create an isometric hold that's going to sort of replicate what I'm lifting in the gym? Or how do I train? Like, I can train calves outside the gym. I can train chest. I can train shoulders. I can train. Those are functional movements. And like, what do I use when I walk? I use my calves, my ankles. Cool, let's train those. Let's go for a walk. My wife and I went for 2 to 3 walks per day during quarantine. And we learned a lot, one about a relationship. Just it helps with digestion. Like walking
I know it's
is
super underrated.
huge.
Yeah.
It's
I tell
super
everybody to
underrated.
start there.
Yeah. And like I've had clients where I'm like, hey, I'm not gonna start physically training you until you get 30 days of walking in a row.
Yeah.
I want you to, and I'll ask them like, hey, how many do you typically do in a day? 2,000. Cool. I want you to hit 2,500 every single day for 30 days. And then we can talk about training with me.
Mm-hmm.
And it typically they'll either A, do it or they B, won't. And if they don't do it, I know that they would have just fallen right off with me. And that's kind of a gut check for them of like, oh shit, I need to figure out other things before I go and try and get a trainer. Because like I can't tell you what to do.
If someone is brand new, like they're in relatively good health, but they're like, I heard somebody talking about starting to training. I know I should be strength training, but I don't know where to start. And even if it's, let's say they're going to a gym that doesn't have trainers, it's just like an apartment gym or something, just
Yeah.
very basic stuff.
Yeah.
What is your suggestion? Like, where do people start first? Is it a 30 minutes lifting weights with a 5 minute warm up and stretch down? Is it like should they be doing full body? Is it twice a week? Is it 3 times a week? Like, if someone's like, tell me what I should do to
Yeah.
start my quote unquote strength training journey, where do I begin?
So my answer always comes down to it depends. So it depends on and why I say it depends, it comes down to like what kind of time do they want to put in? Do they only have 30 minutes? Do they work 75, 80 hours a week and they only have 30 minutes before they go to bed or 30 minutes in the morning? So let's just say we have Tom that's works 5 days a week, 9 to 5, um, and just he's getting into the fitness industry. Um, I look at the well my three pillars of the mobility, stability, and strength, um, and how can we load those? So I'll go through some sort of hinge pattern, whether it's a single leg deadlift or just a good morning. You can do it loaded, unloaded, banded, unbanded. Um, and then I'm going to go into some sort of a squat pattern. I am a big unilateral person, so I love me some split squats. If you ask any of my clients, split squats and walking lunges are my two faves. If I could kill, if I could marry any exercise, it'd probably be a walking lunge. Just because of what we do on a daily basis, it transitions us well into whether we're walking upstairs or walking downstairs, where as I'm walking, I'm throwing that front foot out and it's bracing myself. I'm stabilizing myself on one foot. So when I'm going upstairs, I don't hop on 2 feet. I have to balance on one foot, climb up, balance on the other foot, climb up. So we're training our gait pattern. So I'm a big person of that. I'm a big farmer's carry person. I love farmer's carries, because of how versatile. So like those are three movements that like I can, not that I create workouts to demolish people, but with three movements, I can have someone on the floor. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be, hey, I'm going to carry the dirty laundry across the yard and back and like hold it above my head on one way. Then I'm going to hold it here. And then I'm going to hold it on one side. Then I'll hold it on the other. Like you can utilize the stuff that you have at home. Like it doesn't have, and like I know gyms don't make their money off of people who are not showing up at the gym and like, or sorry, they're making money off of people that don't show up. But I want people to be able to sustain this. And how do we get a long term member? Is if we can integrate stuff that they do at home, vacation, at work. Like, hey, the bathroom is on the opposite side of the building, and there's also one right next door to your office. I want you going to the opposite side of the building. That gives you an extra 150, 200 steps. If you go to the bathroom 3 times that day, there's an extra. I do math off of barbells. Maybe 600 steps for doing something that you were already going to go do. You just didn't go right next door. You went across the hall.
Yeah.
So like park further away from the gym. I mean, I see people take the elevator at the gym and I'm like,
You're at the gym, take the stairs.
you're at the gym. Like I
I
understand
know.
there's like some people that like they need, of course, there's people that need the elevator. I'm not saying that, but just being cautious of like what I'm doing and like, hey, maybe instead of getting a grocery cart, I'm only coming in for milk, eggs, and rice. Cool. I'm not going to use a cart. I'm going to grab it, hold it, and I'm going to walk to the checkout. Like there was one time, this was not on purpose. Well, kind of. So I was at Costco and I went to get 3 things. And I know myself that if I have a cart, I will get more than 3 things at Costco. Um, and so, but those 3 things were relatively heavy. I was like, I don't need a cart. I was getting beer, dishwash detergent, and baby wipes. And I'm literally like walking out like this, and I'm literally the opposite end of the store. And like this lady's like, "Do you want a cart?" And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. I'm fine." And literally in the back of my head, I'm like, "I need a cart. I need a cart." But yeah, I mean, those are great places to start. And I mean, the one thing I didn't mention is something going overhead. So whether it's an overhead pull, overhead push, either one or both, um, and like I really like to simplify stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's my job is to keep you coming in. My job is to get you strong. And if you're changing what you're practicing so often, you're never going to get good at it.
Yeah.
You just every 4 weeks or every 3 weeks, you're like, something new. I'm bored. And I'm like, you can change stimulus by the music you listen to, by the clothes you wear, by the grip that you're holding it. You can change it by your stance. So like your body is very smart and dumb at the same time. Like you can literally like if I'm holding a barbell here, I can go boop right out there and my body's like, "Oh, that feels different." And now that's a new stimulus to my body, but I'm not changing the exercise.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, how can I get my chest or my shoulders stronger in a weaker position? Because the stronger that I am in a weaker position, the more optimal I am. The more like for yoga, a lot of those positions are not necessarily like normal day-to-day exercise like positions, but now you're able to be stable in that. And like a lot of people confuse mobility and stability. Sorry, mobility and flexibility, not stability. And my kind of definition of flexibility is just a range of motion, and mobility is strength within that range of motion. So I mean, built like I can passively put someone through a hamstring stretch, but having them load it and go through that entire same range of motion, they might get 30 degrees, whereas I could put them all the way to 110 degrees. And they're like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, we have strength at 30 degrees. Now we need to gain strength from 30 to 110, 120, whatever. And because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm flexible. And I'm like, cool. So they were probably not stable within that. And like that, there goes again, like my stability, mobility, and strength. And like, if I'm not stable, if I'm flexible through a range of motion, like I have a lot of people that are like, I don't feel deadlifts. And I'm like, cool. We're going to focus on this and this. So I'm going to have you focus on pulling rib cage down, sending your pelvis back behind you to the wall, and I want a slight bend in your knee. I'm like, oh, I feel my hamstring. And I'm like, because your butt goes further back, it's going to pull on that hamstring. Just because you can touch your toes doesn't mean you're stretching your hammies.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just means you can touch the floor.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It's when I see people who are like super flexible, I'm like, we need to do some strength training to
It's
counter
typically
that. Like,
and typically like the super flexible is not going to be the super strong
yeah,
or
I
stable.
agree. Yeah.
Stable. Like the more I feel like the more flexible somebody is, the less stable they are. Not always, but in what I've seen, is I mean, and what's the thing that goes as we age? Stability, balance. And like I would say 75, maybe 80% of my clients currently are 50 and above. And so what do I train them? I train everybody like an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because life is an athletic game.
Yeah.
Whether you have a curb in your way, you trip, like I don't know how many people I see trip and then try to jog it out. And then they don't hurt themselves on the trip, but they hurt themselves on the jogging it out. And I'm like, hey, let's try and minimize. Like, I'm not going to ever say that I'm going to prevent you from ever injuring yourself. You will absolutely, hopefully not, but injuries happen. And if I can do what I can to help strengthen that, possibly we won't have a bigger injury in the end. Like, I had a client that I did a lot of prehab work. She has hip dysplasia. I did almost 2 months of training with her prior to surgery. And then we were in her PT didn't like it. But she was back in with me 5 days after surgery. And if it wasn't for COVID, I would have been in 2 days after her surgery because I got COVID. So like, and she's doing great. She moved to Texas, so I'm not training her anymore. But like I trained her 3 days a week. So I did prehab, rehab, and we trained all the way up until September. And her surgery was back in March, April, somewhere around there. So I mean, like, yeah.
I hear you. No, I think it's incredible stuff. If someone is strength training and they're like, I'm doing it, Scott, I'm lifting weights, you
Yeah.
can be so proud. You had talked earlier in the episode about food being fuel.
Yeah.
If you were like, this is an ideal situation.
Mm-hmm.
Today you do strength training. Let's say you've done a 10-minute warm up, a 10-minute cool down, and like a 30 to 40-minute strength training. That's me,
Yeah.
by the way. What is ideal for you to eat during the day? Are you somebody who's like, I want you to have protein within 30 minutes of your strength training, or you're like, I don't care, just get protein in at some point? Are you like, let's have a lot of fats, let's not have carbs, let's have carbs, let's not have fat? Like, what is an ideal food and water intake for somebody the day they've done strength training?
Yeah. So my big thing is I try to keep stuff relatively consistent. So whether I'm strength training on one day and not the other, like my body still needs the fuel to repair. That being said, sometimes I'll have them have a little bit lower caloric intake on a day that they didn't train. And then the days that they do train, we're going to ramp that up just a little bit. Sometimes it's 200, sometimes it's 100 calories. It's not usually huge drops. You're just more hungry on the days that you train. Like you train heavy, you eat heavy. Like
Yeah, I agree.
and like I had this same client She's like, hey, so I'm more hungry now. Is that bad? And I was like, no, that's actually amazing. I was like, that's a big sign that your body is responding to what we're doing. So I mean, I'm a big protein guy. And like when it comes down to it, say we're trying to lose weight, um, what's going to keep you satiated and not snacking? Protein. It's going to keep you full for longer, and I'm going to say, literally, eat as much protein as you can. And like if I tell, so typically what I try to do, I think the math is like 1.5 per pound of body weight. Um, I just try to tell, like, to make the math easy. I'm like, hey, let's go. Like you weigh 130. Let's go for close to 130. If you go over, cool. If you go a little bit under, let's try to get it up. But if we're around 130 grams, cool. Um, Carbs depends on the person. Some people swell up. Some people use it great. I don't swell up. I do really well with carbs. Um, and so like I love my bread, love my pasta, just not before a workout. Um, and if I do have pasta before a workout, it's slammed heavy with protein. So I'll do chicken, I'll do steak, I'll do sausage. So like on a heavy day, say that I'm not on Whole30. Typical lunch is going to be rice, chicken, chicken or beef, um, broccoli, cauliflower, some like along those lines. Um, After workouts, I don't really believe in that 30-minute window. I think it's kind of splitting hairs, and it draws a lot of urgency to people, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not super hungry after my workout," and I'm like, "Okay, eat when you get home, or eat when you eat for sure, but you don't you don't need to eat within that 30 minutes right after you work out." That's the supplement industry pushing protein powder. It's like you need to have your pre-workout, your intra workout, and your post-workout. And it's like, no, you can have coffee before, maybe have some electrolytes while you're working out, or some sodium if you like it. If you want to drink water, cool. After your workout, if like you don't have time or you love having a protein shake, go to town. Like I just want them to get the grams in. Whether it's at they've trained at 12 and they're eating at 4, that might be pushing it a little bit. I don't know the exact science around that. So don't quote me on that, but uh, somewhere after your workout. Um, and and then I just hammer dinner. Like I just as much as I simplify working out, I try to simplify the food. And it's like, what's going to be sustainable? Something simple. Like I'll ask my clients literally after every first session that I have with them, I'm like, okay, what did we do today? And they may not remember the exact names, but they'll mimic the like, oh, we did this, and then we did the leg thingies, and like they literally can mark out the whole thing. And I'm like, cool. I want you to repeat that in 2 days and see if you remember it. Because like yes, I track my workouts, sort of. I track my deadlifts, that's pretty much it. Just because the numbers get up. But like if you were to ask me what was my progression last Wednesday, what was my weight progression, I could literally nail it off to you. Two sets at two by six, two by 2x4, 2x3, one by one, and then weights were going 225, 315, 345, 365, 405.
Mm-hmm.
So like I literally, I'm not saying that to like, oh, my numbers are cool, like whatever. It's that simple of like, hey, I did this last week. Let's repeat, or let's add 2 pounds. Like at the end of the day, progressive overload is literally something heavier than last week,
Yeah.
or something not necessarily heavier, something more than we did last week or that we did the day before. Like a lot of people are, oh, I need to put an extra 10 pounds on the bar. And I'm like, do one more rep. You did 6 last week, do 7 this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then progress it. Like that's how there's times that like I'm just kind of floating in a maintenance and I'm like, I'm gonna starting this week, I'm gonna do 2 sets of 5. Next week I'm gonna do 3 sets of 5. The following week I'm gonna do 4 sets of 5. And then once I get up to 5 by 5, I'm gonna drop back and go 2 sets of 6, 3 sets of 6, 4 set. Like that just keeps the wheel turning for me. And it's worked well for me to not get bored. Like I do the same shit. I've probably done the same stuff for, I've been training clients now 7 years. I would say the first 2 years were a different type of trainer for me uh, than the last 5 years. And like less is more. Like I start like a lot of clients will be like, "Hey, I want to train with you 4 days a week," and I'm like, first off, can we afford that? Is that sustainable to the bank? And they're like, "Well, what do you charge?" Blah blah blah. And they're like, "Oh, that might not be sustainable." And I'm like, "I didn't think so." Sometimes I get clients that have it like that. That's fine. But like we're gonna start with 1 day of training a week. Then as that becomes easy and you're like, I can do more, twice a week. Then when that becomes easy, 3 times a week. Or they top out at 2 and they're like, I'm seeing great progress and like I like how this like his system is kind of going and like I come see you Tuesday, Thursday, and I go hike on the weekends or ski on the weekends, and like I have 3 extra days with my family on the off days that I'm not training with you, and I'm like, perfect. Then we found the right dose that's gonna be perfect. Yes, do I lose money on not having them in? Sure, but I rather have them for 6, 7, 8 years
Yeah.
than burn them out in the first month of training 5 days a week, burn through their wallet, and it's like, what do you mean you can't afford me?
Yeah.
Like we just go all in, and then it sets me up for failure. It sets them up for failure, and they're like, trainers don't actually help.
Mm-hmm.
I burned out. Like nothing's gonna work. Woe is me. Like I'm at the end of my road. Like I'm not gonna be able to lose that 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever. It's like I've tried everything. I purchased a trainer. I trained with him 5 days a week. And it's like we trained 15 times in a month. You burned out. And like we didn't set up clear, not boundaries, but clear objectives and goals um, to hit. And it's like, hey, this month we are going to attempt once a week. So this month, that means we're going to hit 4, maybe 5, depending on the month, my 4 to 5 sessions for the whole month. And then next month, our goal is twice a week. Now we're going to go 8 to 10 sessions. And they've still purchased the same amount of sessions, but I've spread them out over 2 months. And they're like, oh, like now I enjoy coming to the gym. I'm not forcing myself. Oh, I have to go see Scott. Oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. Stressing themselves out. Typically, the people that train with trainers, type A people.
Yeah.
They want to
Well,
go, 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 go.
there's what you said too when you're the start made so much sense too. It's like the trainers are amazing. They get you started. They help make sure you're doing things in alignment. Like I think there's so many benefits, but this is also like it's not a perfect world. You know, we have COVID where gyms shut down. Like you need to be able to do things at home without always being in your perfect world of like I go
Yeah,
with my to the gym and see my trainer. It's like no, you need to be able to if you hit the curb bounce back without
yeah,
injuring yourself. You need to be able to go to a grocery store and pick up beer, baby wipes,
yeah,
and laundry
yeah,
detergent without a cart. You need to be able to pick up your child if they're hurt and they're a little heavier than they used to be. Like that
yeah,
is the point of going to the gym so you can do things
yeah,
at home and not injure yourself. That's what I
yeah,
think like I think the importance of. Like, even when you think of yoga, people are like, well, I go to this yoga studio and it's so zen. It's like the point of yoga is not to go to a studio so you can wear your
Yeah.
Lululemon stuff. It's like it's the best when we're at home and
Yeah.
shit is hitting the fan. It's like that's when we come back to
Yeah.
the practice of yoga, right? Like,
Yeah.
yes, it's
How can
more
I
than
pull myself out of that stressful situation and
yeah,
calm myself down? And
yes.
like I practice a lot of breathing with people. I'm like, hey, we're not doing this for sets, we're doing this for breaths. So like typically in a plank, what do people do? They stop breathing. So I literally will force them to breathe because I'm like, we're gonna do a plank for 5 deep breaths. I want to be able to smell your lunch or breakfast, whatever time of day it is. I want to be able to smell that. I want you to inflate that rib cage as much as you possibly can and exhale. Does it suck more? Absolutely. But what do we do every day, all day? We breathe. We need to be able to breathe under stressful circumstances. Yes, a plank is not a super stressful situation, but our brain looks at stress in one way stress, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, doesn't matter. It's still stress. So, I mean, I'll get a client coming in from a really stressful, they had back to back meetings all day. They're coming in 15 minutes late to our session. They're running in. They're already here. I need to bring them here so that I can get them to here. And like I'm like, hey, we're gonna focus on this, and I want you here. I'm like, I that's the beauty of strength training versus running is I think about too much shit when I run. I like my brain is like over here while I'm running. I'm like, God, this really sucks. But then I see a dog and I'm like, oh, that's a cute dog. And then I see like I'm just thinking about too much, or I get into my own thoughts about am I doing well enough for this client? Oh, I'm fresh. I'm trying to figure out this client's knee problem and everything I do. Like start thinking about stuff. When I'm under a barbell with 300 pounds on it, I'm thinking about that weight that's on me and nothing else. Literally nothing else, or else that bar is going to crush me. And like whenever I say that with people, they're like, "Oh, that's why I don't run either." And I'm like, I'm not saying not to run, but at the end of the day, you don't have to run to lose weight. Just like literally
Yeah.
be active.
Yeah.
Period. End of story.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Yeah. There you
Like
go.
just be active. Just be active. Um, yeah, go ahead.
So if let's say again, ideal situation, ideal world, is there you said you like to keep things super simple.
Mhm.
Someone is strength training, you're a big proponent of protein and stuff on strength training day. Is there anything else, even like a supplement wise, that you think makes a big difference? Like, are you taking supplements? Is there anything like I really suggest people
Yeah.
take this because it helps with whatever? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I'm not a big supplement head. One thing that I do take regularly, I mean, I take my multivite, but even those I'm like less consistent with than I am with like creatine. Creatine is a big one for me.
Can you
Just with
talk about that? Because I got asked that on TikTok Live, and I was like, I am not the
yeah,
person to be answering this for you.
yeah. I
Like,
don't know if
what
I can
is
get
it?
into the science, the best science of it. I'm not a super sciencey guy. But what it helps is, and I could be wrong, uh, but it helps with ATP. So basically energy. And so you're gonna recover better, faster. And I just feel stronger when I'm on it. It's one of the most researched supplements out there that has the benefits of what it says it has. So I mean, yes, you're gonna gain a little bit of weight because of water because it retains water in your muscles, and like your muscles need to be hydrated. Um, Especially if you're looking to chase that pump, like you want to have full muscle bellies. You don't want to starve. I mean, you look at a bodybuilder, typically they're starved. Um, or definitely amateur bodybuilders, they just look lean, dry, like it's just like, hey, drink some water, please. But so I mean, it helps with the recovery. There's a lot of science around talking about the performance benefit. So literally, I tell like I'm a coffee guy, I'm a creatine guy, and protein powder. But at the end of the day, like I take protein powder because I'm not a super hungry person all the time. And like sometimes my schedule is a little bit busier than others, and like it's typically busy around like meal times for me. And so it's very useful to have my shaker cups upstairs. But I'll have my shaker cup and I can drink that while I'm in a session. Is it the same as having chicken, steak, sausage, whatever the protein source is, fish? No, it's not the same. And I'm not saying that to push drinking the protein, because a lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to replace my meal with protein shake. And I'm like, no, eat your food first. Protein is to supplement what you're not getting. So I'm utilizing it in the fashion of, hey, I'm not getting enough protein because I'm busy. I for me, I don't particularly like to eat right after I train, but sometimes I have a client right after and then I forget, and all of a sudden it's 6 o'clock. So a trick that I do is I literally do protein powder, coffee, creatine, and I drink that. One, the coffee is nice to have in the afternoon, um, and the protein kind of fills me up, because there are times that like come 3, 4, 5 in the afternoon or in the evening, I'm just like, oh, I'm hungry. I like that's all I'm thinking about when I'm with a client. So like for me, the protein shakes are very beneficial. And like I said, I'm not a super hungry guy. So like yogurt works really well, for a good amount of protein. Cottage cheese, which is like, I'm a big dairy person, so not having dairy right now is like takes out about half of my food intake. So that's been tough. Which I like that it's been tough, because it's just, I like to be uncomfortable. I like to get or how do I say it? I like to get
Get
comfortable
comfortable with
being
being
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable. Yeah,
There we
yeah,
go.
yeah. I get
Words,
that.
words. But like it sucks. Like literally, Halloween happened, no candy. My birthday happened, no cake. My wife's best friend came into town, and her family has a coffee shop, and they bake these really awesome scones, and I've literally never had them fresh. She stayed at our house. She made them at our house. They were made literally in my house, and I did not have one. We have them in our freezer, but I was just like, this is a really bad time to do it. But at the end of the day, I didn't eat a bunch of candy. I didn't, and I'm not saying not to eat it. Like, do you? But like, I feel great. I just drink a shit ton of coffee and a lot of coconut water. Like it's been. I'm super hydrated. I can tell you that. Like it's like when I get hungry or I feel like I'm hungry, um, drink water.
Yeah.
Like chew. I've been chewing a lot of gum, um, and like like yes, I've noticed that I've leaned out a little bit, and like that's where it gets a little dangerous with some people. They see a little bit and they're like, oh, if I do this 10x,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be even better.
Yeah.
If I increase how much I work out and I decrease how much I'm eating, and they're going this way, I can't see my other hand going down, and you're going up, and it's like your body's literally just going to poop out on you.
Yeah.
Like it literally is. You might see some benefit for, and that's the other problem. It's like you see a little more benefit. You're like, oh, it's working, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah. It's like a
and they
short-term
just
gain
sail out.
versus
Yeah,
long-term. Yeah.
yeah, and like you can use that as a tool for, like, hey, I'm going on vacation in 10 days. Boom, I'm gonna go real drastic. I don't typically do that. I'm just like, hey, I'm gonna train really freaking hard, because probably when I'm on vacation, I'm not gonna work out, but I'm gonna just go balls to the walls and just full send and work out really hard for the next 10 days, not take a break, and then I'm gonna take a week off, 2 weeks off, and I probably won't. I'll be fine. Like I have clients that they go on vacation and they're like, so what do you want me to do while I'm on vacation? And I'm like, enjoy, eat,
Be
have fun.
active if you can, but enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. And they come back, they're like, hey, I didn't gain any weight. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Probably, I had a feeling that was going to be the case. And if you might gain 1 pound, 2 pounds, whatever, like you ate, like, did you have fun? Yeah, it
Yeah.
was such a blast. I'm like, cool. Did you think about working out? Well, I really missed it. And I'm like, cool. I want you to miss it rather than be like, oh, I need to go work out. Like when I
Yeah.
get back from vacation, I'm gonna have to work off these 10 pounds. They get on the scale and they're like, I'm the same weight. And I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And like I hardly use the scale to do that anyways. Like I'm just like, how do you feel?
Mm-hmm. I know. It's life. You gotta have fun. You gotta enjoy life. Do the good,
100%.
do the right things, but also have fun. Before
100%.
I send everybody to check you out online, is there
Yeah.
a book, podcast, or resource that has brought you incredible value that you want to leave with the audience? It does not have to be related to strength training, although it can be.
Yes. Two podcasts. I don't read very much. I listen
That's
to a lot of
okay.
podcasts.
That's okay.
I do read a lot of stuff like online and whatnot. But no, not necessarily any books. But two podcasts that I've listened to for a while. So one of them, I don't know if you've heard of Mind Pump Media.
No.
So they're based out of California.
Okay.
I've been listening to them for since like episode 300 or
Mm.
something, and they're on like almost 2,000.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and then RX Radio with Dr. Jordan Shallow, and Jordan Genta, Killian Hamilton, James Thayer.
He sounds familiar.
James Thayer.
Yeah. I don't know
And who's the
why.
other? There's one more James. I can't think of his last name right now. But so um, they do a lot of work with Pure Muscle at
Okay.
in Canada. It's a gym up there owned by now I can't think of his name. Hamilton. I have to
You'll
look
think
him
of
up.
it like 3 o'clock in the morning. You'll be like, that's the
Yeah.
name.
Yep. Yep. 100%. I'm looking him up. Pure Muscle or HD Muscle. They also have a supplement line named HD Muscle. Um,
That's okay.
uh, Another one, Instagram account that I follow is Big Mike Van Wyck. He's
Okay.
a big dude, huge dude, like 6'7", 3 bills, like tatted head to toe, like, but really good information that all three of those put out.
Awesome.
But yeah,
I love it. Scott, this has been such a fun conversation. If people want to check you out online, maybe you'll follow along with you online, or maybe they're in Utah, they want to get some training
yeah,
from you. Where can everybody go and find you?
yeah. So I train out of Lifetime Fitness in South Jordan, Utah. Instagram account is icanperformance.ut. Um, I have a website. It's icanperformancetraining.com. Yeah, I post relatively frequently. I post a lot about my kid.
Yeah. Who's so cute,
And
by the way.
yeah, he is a cutie. He knows he is too. Gets away with murder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty active on that. As the snow starts to fly, you'll start to see some more skiing on there as well.
Perfect. I will make sure everything is linked in the show notes. Thank you so much for this
Awesome.
conversation.
Appreciate you.